Hi, and welcome back to Unpack. My name is Ella Grace Lawton, and I'm here with Rebecca Lamb. And today we're going to be talking about women's sports and all the controversies surrounding them. So as we know, men's sports always outshine women in many ways. They have more fans, they have more money, they have more TV time. This stat here says that in 2019, ESPN and other shows only gave 5.4% of the total coverage to women athletes. Why do you think that women's sports don't get as much attention as men, Rebecca?
I feel like that women's sports doesn't get as much attention as men because it feels like men are what people look for in sports. Like they look at basketball, they think men's, they don't think women's. And they think baseball and not softball. I feel like to TV people, the men draw in more people to watch.
I agree with that too. I think that men are just naturally like bigger and stronger, so they can do more than women, so I feel like it's more entertaining. Okay, let's see. Women also don't make as much money as men. In the basketball, like NBA, like you said, the max for men, they get $46 million, and the women only get $235,000, which is not that much. I can't believe that. Did you ever go to games growing up?
I did go to games growing up, and I think growing up I looked more into women's sports because I am a woman myself. And the men's, like, yeah, they're cool and all this, but I feel like women do just as much as men do to get to where they are at today.
Yeah, my parents made sure to take me to a bunch of games growing up too, especially the women. Did you have any specific role models that you looked up to?
I honestly really looked up to Simone Biles, which I know she's a gymnast, but I feel like she's really positive. She's always speaking on mental health and trying to just get you to get through whatever you're getting through to get better.
I agree with you. She's just a strong woman overall.
She's
done so much. Yeah. Let's see. What sports have you played growing up, and what have you done?
So growing up, I played softball, basketball, golf, and soccer. Really, I mainly focused on softball, but I really did the other sports just to like gain new friends, grow my community a little bit, and just like be a better person overall, because I feel like teamwork really like gets you to work and be a better person.
I agree. That's the one thing that my parents wanted me to do growing up was play sports, so I could learn those things like rejection and like grow those friendships and stuff, because you do learn a lot, especially from softball.
You do.
As you know now, women's sports are also growing a lot because there are a lot of female athletes with like big presences and stuff. And I think that's good for women athletes overall, just to get more recognition, more fans and stuff like that. Have you seen any specific athletes on social media that you keep up with yourself?
Not really like a specific person, but I know Nike just made that new commercial they made with all the women in sports. And I feel like that's a really good commercial to really get it out there that women are someone, like they're not just a thing, they're someone that's trying to define how they are and how they look to the outside world.
Yeah, and I think a big difference also between men and women's sports is like men are viewed as like athletes, but like women are looked at as like the whole thing, like how is their home life, like how are they as a person, whereas like men are usually just looked at as the athlete that they are. So I feel like women are held to a lot higher standards, so I'm glad that they're getting the recognition that they deserve. Now, transgenders have played in women's sports in the past few years, and that's been brought it to a big uproar, you know, like divided. Do you think it's okay for them to play? Do you think it's not? What are your stances on that?
I feel like personally they shouldn't be allowed to compete with a sport that they transitioned into, just because if you're a man that transitioned to a woman, you still have the man features that are usually bigger and stronger compared to women who don't get that as much.
Yes, I completely agree with you, because men, like, naturally, they're just, like, stronger, powerful, faster. They, like, have more bone density and muscle mass, bigger lungs. Like, they just outperform women naturally. And so, like, I think even if you do take those, like, estrogen or, like, testosterone blockers, I still think that if you're born biologically a male, it's not fair for you to play against women.
Yeah,
especially
I totally
because
agree.
someone could get injured, and I feel like that has happened before.
Yeah.
Let's see. Along with them playing sports, they're also allowed like into the locker rooms and bathrooms and stuff. Could you imagine if you had to share?
I feel like I would be very uncomfortable with it. Like, I wouldn't be myself almost. Like, I feel like the locker rooms and stuff is like your place to feel comfortable. And if someone of the other gender comes in, I wouldn't feel as comfortable.
Exactly. And I know that's what Riley Gaines had to go through at her swim meet against Leah Thomas, because she didn't have a choice. Like, she had to change in the same locker room with a 6'4" biological man, and I feel like not only like is it uncomfortable for you to see, but like they're looking at you. Like, it's just All right. So as we know, Title IX is the law that allows everyone to have fair chances to play, based like regardless of their sex in sports and stuff. What benefits do you think Title IX has on like women's sports, like them? Because they passed a new law recently where transgenders are not allowed to play women's sports anymore. And what benefits do you think that has?
I feel like this will allow women more opportunities to go seek things like more scholarships or more money. I feel like it'd be more fair to everybody if they have their certain place respectively where they need to be.
Yeah, I agree with that too, because I mean, people are just going to get hurt, and it's not fair if you've worked your whole life against the girls for a boy to come in and take your spot. I just think that's not fair. Trump recently signed that bill, like we said. Do you think people agree with his stance on that, or do you think there will be a divide?
I feel like it could be either way. I feel like some people do agree with him, and then other people don't, because they don't see why it's so bad for these other people to be in a same sport that they weren't biologically born into.
Yeah, I think certain people have a hard time like realizing if you're not like a woman or if you don't have children like going through that, it's hard to put yourself in those shoes, but I think it is a very big deal, and I think there is going to be a divide, because I mean, obviously it was passed a few years ago, like Biden, so like people obviously thought that way, and now it's being reversed, so I think there will be views on both sides, but I personally, as a female athlete, agree with the fact that there should not be men playing women's sports.
I agree, yes.
Like I mentioned earlier, Riley Gaines, she lost out on her award because she lost to a transgender athlete. She's a political activist now, and she stands up for women's sports and all that. Do you have any opinions on her or what she's doing?
I think what she's doing is good for everybody. I think that everybody has their own voice and their own opinions, and I feel like she is using hers for a right reason, to get back the award that she won, fair and square, minus what had happened.
Yes, and I think if you have a voice, like you said, you need to use it, and she does have a place and a platform, and she was there when Trump signed that bill, so she's up there, she's working her way, and I think that's really good for her. All right, and like Title IX, that bill that was signed, that affects all ages, and so this is good, especially for younger children, because I know we're talking about this now as college athletes, but this affects high school students and like everyone else younger. Could you imagine like if you had a child and they had to play with a transgender athlete?
I feel like it would be weird, almost uncomfortable for them, because I don't know if they'd really understand like who they are and like what has happened to them. I just feel like it wouldn't be right, almost, in a sense.
Yeah, I feel like almost in like a motherly instinct that I would want to protect my kid, and I feel like putting them up against a boy is just not going to protect them in any kind of way. Thank you for being here with me today, Rebecca, and we'll see y'all next week for our next episode